Hello everyone, welcome back to the Your Logic Sucks series, where I find dumb points people make and examine their logic. And this one is a little close to my heart because it involves something I like to do. So full disclosure, the purpose of this episode is to examine if anime and manga, or at the very least the anime and manga communities, are being somewhat exposed to right-wing propaganda with the idea that anime is anti-PC. So let me ask you right now, do you think there is an encroachment of right-wing sentiments whenever you enter the anime or manga community? Or if you follow the idea that of course there is, because you think it's the only option at this point because they want to take it away from you, tell me why and leave a comment below. And in this video, I'm not going to name channels or specific people. I'm just going to tackle the idea. Because frankly, their points, as I see it right now, is lacking any credibility. It's just reactionary nonsense. So with that, let's have a little talk. The argument at the moment is that anime is anti-PC because Japan just doesn't give a fuck. I could attack the phrase itself because you're not really saying anything by using the general term anime, but let's ignore that fact. If we were honest, you would say anime that depicts mature themes is anti-PC. But you're not saying that, right? That's why I'm under the impression that when people say that, they're pushing something else. There's an ulterior motive. But let's go back to the whole anime is anti-PC. On face value, of course it is, right? Because it kind of skews to like no shit because we have anime like Prison School, One Piece, Naruto, Berserker, Goblin Slayer, countless others. Right? But we're smart. We can take a step back and see how the West isn't so different. Because if it was true, please explain our US shows. From HBO, network television, Netflix original content, even YouTube channels. Do they not all show similar controversial content? Well, I doubt the West will ever allow lolly tags. But yeah, let's ignore that fact. So, before we attack the logic, let's examine the landscape a bit. Boobs, butts, sexualizations, racial stereotypes, maybe excessive violence. These are the things that are stereotypically linked to what the far left or the pro-PC camp is fighting against. And to people who are fond of this type of content, they can feel attacked, almost as if they believe there's a force trying to take away their cookies. And that force can be simplified as censorship in the form of PC culture. But come on, this perceived censorship is just criticism from a couple of outlets, not a systemic force trying to take over or eliminate this type of media. A Twitter campaign might get retweeted, but it's not policy. You might hear terms such as, PC culture, SJWs, feminists. Let's not forget Christians, incels, MRAs. And yes, there is a growing group of people objecting to the depiction of males in anime. But right now, the attention is on PC, leftist, liberal cucks. Because they are also against something you hold dear. But like always, I ask you to take a step back. Are these groups really doing anything to thwart your entertainment? Name one show that they took away from you. And who were they? Please leave a comment if you have an example. And if you bring up that UK ban thing, I'll make a video on that later on, but let me hear your arguments against it. Alright, I think I established the foundation for why it is perceived to be an issue. Since we have brains, let's discuss the anime is anti-PC meme. So again, the takeaway message isn't that anime is anti-PC. It's that Western media is PC, which stands to their reason to jump ship and swim towards the Japanese content. And to be fair, I will divide the anti-PC movement. We have the I don't want to see or be reminded of politics in media. It's just entertainment. And they will echo the line, just don't preach, right? And then we have the SJW PC culture is taking over the West, which can further be divided between join the right because we won't do that, So please get political, but on the opposite side of the PC culture. And that's what I suspect is actually occurring. And the other side of the SJW PC culture is taking over the West. They will be more in lines with overrepresentation of minorities is annoying, and the West is forgetting the fan base. But of course, they'll echo, but I'm not a bigot. Personally, I think all these points are ridiculously naive and will cause trouble in the long run. First, let me discuss how these sentiments are dumb. If you are in the camp that media, either movies, cartoons, anime, is just entertainment, you can still watch it as entertainment and ignore the subtext, or in some cases, the actual content of the show. But let's say you have now taken a course or been exposed to a subject that you start seeing everywhere. This can be race issues, gender issues, class issues. Now you are putting your experience into a show. Subtext is just you identifying another level of interpretation, either purposely through the author's metaphors or you connecting the dots regardless of author's intent. Or say you have heard some social justice issue memes and you now keep seeing it in stories. It's not the story's fault, you're now more exposed to ideas. I would say this is the loss of ignorance, something most people, actually not most people, some people grow out of. And my biggest issue with this mentality is the problem that the problem is created solely by the individual. Why are you watching a literary analysis of a show? I will agree with you and even side with you if you watch a video that says X show is racist. And I say is racist, is sexist, is anti-capitalist, pro-fascism, whatever. Of course, this is not true because unless they prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, which I doubt will ever occur, unless it is, an interpretation is not the only way to view a body of work. If the video analysis suggests X show can be viewed in this literary lens, then what the hell are you mad at? Unless they give no evidence to back it up, what do you disagree on? A story can have multiple ideological lenses put on them, and doing so takes nothing away from the surface level entertainment. I hope this is obvious without me giving examples. If you need one or you see one, leave a comment and I'll explain it further in a video. My favorite one is the Pied Piper. If requested, I'll do one on that. But leave a comment on what literary analysis you view it, and I'll blow your mind on how I view it. Right? Please give evidence to back it up. Back up your claim. But remember, we are both right because that's how we as individuals interpret the story. You might just see it as a moral like message story. I can view it completely different. But again, we're both right. And on a side note, why don't people get mad when they put religious lenses on a story? But when you mention, let's say, problematic depictions reinforced through narrative structures, they get bent out of shape. Like, oh yeah, he serves as a Jesus figure. Oh yeah, the story is full of religious references. But no, it's not pushing a message, right? Like, oh no, stories don't push messages unless it's propaganda, right? But whatever, end of side note. Now, let's discuss the other side of the argument. Specifically, SJW PC culture is taking over the West. They are just hysterical and reactionary. And if you fall victim to this behavior, I want you to think about it. Like, really think about it. And extrapolate an argument that proves your point. Write it down and read it out loud. Once you do that, and you still agree with your claim, like you're not embarrassed by it, you might have an argument worth sharing. And so please do share it with me if you do have one. Because if you don't, we get people that generalize content and try to sway people to join their side just because they see what? Progress in media. Again, like what does that mean? And if you made it this far in the video, tell me, what anime or manga pushes American far-right conservative ideology? Because really, when you do say anime is anti-PC, you are taking a side. And I just want to know what anime confirms or helps your side. Like, what anime are you viewing that reinforces your ideology? Like, how can you watch anime and still think progressives are the bad guy? I might even make a YouTube series if I can find an anime that pushes alt-right or extreme conservative ideology. And of course, I'm not being fair. You know, if you're saying you're just a centrist, right? Give me an anime that says being a centrist is bad or good. Where the status quo, where nothing changes, is good. And the only anime that was mainstream that pushed moderate conservatism was Bleach. Yeah, you know, the whole Rukia Ichigo Getsuga Tensho. Because every resolution to the problem was just to return as it was before. Instead of pursuing actual change, you know, they just maintain the status quo. But that's a whole another video on its own. But let's move on. So now, where do we find these people spouting such claims, besides in the anti-PC bandwagon? Well, it's visible in a lot of places, but like everything in this world, it starts with American comic communities. Go to any anti-SJW review of a comic on YouTube, especially in the Marvel community. You will find that manga titles are being pushed because it's not political. Because now every comic is political. Also, every movie is political. Did you hear about that? Okay, yeah. I kind of wish this was just Japanese marketing trying to convert readers, but I'm not that naive. And now we get two very interesting titles that can combat these cultural Marxist comics. My Hero Academia and One Punch Man. Because these shows are superheroes done right. No politics, no SJWism, no agendas. And let me just say that's not true at all. We have a small movement, or at least the idea of a movement, to abandon the West's media and just go to the Japanese route to read manga, just because the SJW politics get in the way. And here lies the problem. Nowhere is the argument about better stories. They never give a reason why a comic is bad. It's just that there's a different type of person on the cover. Now, if you have a certain comic that you want to complain about, let me know down in the comment section. But I want you to tie it to the SJWism and see if it is just that or just bad writing. You must differentiate the two. Or just tell me why SJWism means bad stories in general. Like, how does political correctness destroy a story? Outside of YouTube channels, another place you can find them is in the English dub episodes of anime comment sections. You might hear how a woman they will happily name is inserting terms that undermine the show. They would argue that the English dub is pushing an agenda and it is destroying the great Japanese stories that they love. But unless you mention a complete redubbing where the story is changed or where the context now is completely different, changing one line is not enough to bitch about. Localization is necessary. That's basically the whole purpose of that industry. To what degree is arguable, but saying Gamergate is in an arcade setting, a chick who is part of the gaming culture would know what that is, right? Or the word patriarchy being used in regards to dress etiquette, right? It's not out of the norm to say that. And it's not indoctrination. And I'll happily debate that if you do believe it is. So now let's examine the logic map and apply it. Again, I'm under the assumption that there's an attempt to make members join a specific side in politics because they hate politics, also known as reactionaries. And it's not even a real attempt, it's just SJW hatred. But we know what happens when you hate SJWs. You join the other side, which then, because you are a sheep, starts spouting right-leaning ideas because SJWs are on the left. But here is the logic, right? And if you disagree, let me know. Anime is anti-PC, which means anime is better because it's not PC. Anti-PC is good since it doesn't censor stories because blank, blank, blank. But PC is bad because it forces diversity, politics, badly written stories, and characters because blank, blank, blank. The idea that manga is politics free, to of which merit switching sides, is dumb. I should state United States politics free. You won't find brown people agendas, LGBT agendas, feminism agenda in manga or anime. You get the idea. Okay, and let me just make it clear. We know that's not true. What I just said, we know that's not true. Because we're not so dumb not to read subtext in anime and manga, where racism, classism, gender identity, gender roles, and the like are addressed. And now let me examine like the problem with this logic. It's not even that it's 100% wrong. It's that like all it takes is marketing to destroy the credibility of a story under this system of gatekeeping. And yes, it is gatekeeping. It can be a promo of how the main character is different from the norm, or the cover of a story portrays a different character than it is what to be expected. As you try to move to Eastern markets, you bottleneck stories. And the reality is that anime and manga need to be shaken up on their own way to create better and meaningful stories. Of course, Japan has no obligation to cater to any market. Last time I checked, the West does not serve as any significant market for them because it is still a niche audience. Fuck, we don't even pay to watch and read their content. And this finally leads to the dead end of anti-PC proponents. I just want to know, what happens to the anti-PC who reads manga or watches anime that has SJW elements? Say, this person who was told manga doesn't care about gay representation, minority representation, political agendas. What happens when they watch Naruto for the first time, One Piece for the first time, One Punch Man for the first time, Attack on Titan for the first time? Unless they are completely unable to read past pretty images, how do these stories keep up the facade that they are anti-PC, anti-political agendas? Is it because they are blinded by sex appeal, violence, energy blasts? They can't imagine a message being pushed on them? And this is where I give some credit to the anti-PC people. Remember, some just don't want to be told about it. They want to experience it without being force-fed an ideology, which is fine. But who was it that put that lens on it? Was it the marketing? Was it some YouTuber who makes you watch a new story with that lens? Because I find it hard to believe you can read some stories and not see progressive ideologies being pushed and still be against progressives. So my final thoughts. Personally, I think it's time to address this issue. This bombardment of anti-SJW and anti-PC sentiments that are seen in comment sections of popular anime YouTube clips need to be attacked with actual logic. And the problem with this video, the video I'm making right now, is that I'm not addressing specific claims. Which, with that being said, I do invite you to bring up a claim and we can explore it together. And again, I just want to reiterate, you can view Naruto as an SJW. He literally is a feels guy. One Piece literally fights for social justice, but more regarding, economic and government systems of oppression. You get the idea. All of this makes me think, are people just too dumb to understand media? Look forward to a video on this matter in the future. Because yes, I think most people are too dumb to understand stories. So yeah, with that being said, just thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you liked my little rant here. I am a growing channel and I would appreciate, that number to go up. So again, I do read comments, and if you want to disagree with me, I will read it. I will comment, possibly within the same hour. But I want you to make a claim that, when you say anime is anti-PC, I want you to give me a specific claim, not some generality. Not, oh, the West wants to. I also hear like the West wants to get rid of anime. Okay, like first tell me specifically why that is bad. and not just like, oh, well, that's censorship. Okay, no, what are they censoring? All right, so I'm looking forward to those kind of comments. So later, guys, have fun.